We're back with the WHHI News. It's that time of the year, time for travel, and here to give us some good advice on how to avoid scams and such is Scott Cooke. He's the Communications Director for the South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs. Scott, I understand there's some new legislation to help protect folks. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, the Federal Trade Commission's put a new rule in place that just went into effect this month, and it's really aimed at creating transparency in listings when you're going on to get short-term rentals, so hotels, motels, things like Airbnb, VRBO, those types of things. And it also affects concert tickets and live event tickets. So it's really kind of set up to make those prices you see when you're shopping for them online kind of more transparent. They're supposed to give you all those total prices up front. So the price that you see prominently on that website, it should be that total price or pretty close to it. They've given them a little wiggle room where they have some things they can leave off, like government taxes, things like that, and some of the shipping fees that may go on with tickets. But generally, that price you see should be pretty close to that final price.
Well, that should help, I would think, so people won't get slammed with added costs. But, even as far as hearing those stories where someone thought they were renting a short-term rental property and the whole website or it all turned out to be a scam and there was no such place. Have you heard those kind of stories?
Absolutely. We hear things about, hijacked listings where scammers may go on and kind of copy and paste listings that are already out there. So they're putting them all over the place on different websites and different marketplaces and things like that you see, or they may just create fake listings completely altogether where the property isn't real. So they've created something that's out there. So you always kind of want to do that research, of course. You want to know the websites that you're dealing with, know the property owners that you're dealing with. You can kind of look up those things online, do those searches for, the name of that company plus complaint or plus scam, something like that. And anytime you're making these big reservations for something like that, please use your credit cards. We tell people those we're going to give you kind of the most protections that you can get when you use your credit card. You don't want to use those debit cards because, if you're dealing with somebody and it turns out to be a scam or somebody not quite honest and they have access to that debit card, that's a direct line into your checking account. There's going to be additional protections for those credit cards. So you want to use those for those types of purchases.
That's so important because as a matter of fact, I can think of one friend of mine who has a debit card that she refers to as her Visa card and her credit card. But I wonder if a lot of people don't realize if it's connected with your bank account and that's where the money is withdrawn, boom, that can be withdrawn right away and you are out of luck if it is a scam, right?
Yeah, and those credit cards are going to protect you a lot more as far as the dollar amount. And also they'll get that money back to you a lot quicker. So kind of think about if it's your debit card and something happens to that funds, what's going to happen, to your mortgage payment or your rent payment or your car payment if it takes a while to get those things refunded to you. So you really kind of want to keep that in mind as you're using, those cards, especially online.
So if I have any question at all about is this legit or not, as you suggest, do a Google search, or how else can I make sure this is reputable, whomever I'm dealing with?
I always tell people too, you want to do those online searches for those types of things too. But, by now we all kind of have those websites we generally use all the time. So you kind of want to stick to those well-established brands, those trusted brands. And again, use your credit cards. And if you have any problems with any of those things and scams potentially come up, you can contact those companies first. Hopefully they'll respond and get some kind of action for you. But then you can kind of fall back and contact your credit card companies and they should be able to help you hopefully get those monies refunded back to you if it's a scam.
Does the Department of Consumer Affairs in South Carolina want to know about these instances? I mean, do you keep track or do you appreciate if someone says this is what happened to me via an email or the like?
Yeah, absolutely. We always want to know about scams that are happening around the state. So you can go to consumer.sc.gov. We have a little button that says, how do I? If you click that, report a scam will be one of the options that comes up. And, just give us a little bit of information and it kind of helps us know what's happening across the state. And we can hopefully better protect people across the state from these types of things.
Well, Scott Cooke, Communications Director for the South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs, Scott. I want to thank you for joining us here on the WHHI News.
Thank you.
And we'll be back in just a moment.